A haint is a southern term for restless spirit. Now, these terrifying entities are said to visit people at night in their homes. They are also found in the forest, in abandoned locations, all across the Appalachia. Now, there are many legends going back even as far as the 1800s. Now, there was this woman named Mary. Mary lived in North Carolina. And she said that during this period of time, she had just lost her husband and she was, grieving. Well, she said she decided that she would stay in her home and she wasn't going to move. But her home was in this very rural part of North Carolina. And she said one night she was in her kitchen and she was doing some cooking. She feels sort of this breeze kind of move past the back of her neck. And that's when she heard boom, 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 a knock at her front door. And she thought, it's late at night. Like, who would be coming over and knocking on my door this late? So she walks to the door, and as soon as she gets to the front door, she gets this very overwhelmingly bad feeling. And she's hesitant about opening the door, but she does anyways. And when she slowly moves the door, she looks out and sees her deceased husband. And she goes, "Oh my gosh, Edgar!" And she thought it was him for a second, and she was ready to give him a hug, but she's like, "Oh, Edgar, you are not alive anymore. Like, you have passed away." And she said he just, kind of shrugged and was like moving his head in kind of a weird way. And he didn't say nothing. But as she started to look at him closer and closer, she realized like this wasn't her husband anymore. Like, it was decaying, and the flesh was kind of hanging off the skin, and he had this foul stench to him. And she goes, "Edgar, why have you came back from the grave? Like, why are you here at my house? Why are you scaring me?" And she said he pointed like inside the house. And she's like, "No, you cannot come inside, Edgar. You have to leave. Like, you are not living." And she said he just kind of let off this groan. And she's like, "Edgar, like, you need to leave. You need to go back to where you came from. Like, you cannot be here. You are not alive." And that's when she turned her head, looked behind her to see what he was pointing at. And she said it was a picture of them together. But when she turned back around, he was gone. And over the next couple of months, she said she was visited by her deceased husband, Edgar. And he would knock on the door, he would want to come in, but she would not invite him in because she felt if she did, something very bad would happen. Now, this next story comes from the same general area, near Brown Mountain in North Carolina. There was this man named Randy. Randy said he used to go hiking all the time near Brown Mountain. And there was this specific trail which was about a 5-mile loop. So he said this one afternoon he set off to go for just a hike. It was a nice summer day, and he started hiking this trail. Well, he gets maybe 3 miles into the 5-mile loop when he said it started to get dark. And he had heard stories about not being out in the woods in the Appalachia at night. So he had to decide, do I continue on or do I try and turn around and go back and make it back as fast as I can. He decided to continue on. As he's walking the trail, he said it just got eerily quiet. All of the insects, the breeze blowing, it just got quiet. And he said that's when he started to notice, like out of the corner of his eyes, there were shadows of something moving through the forest. And as he looked closely at these shadows, they began to appear as people, except they were transparent. And not only were they transparent, they were decaying. They were missing arms, they were missing legs, they had rotten flesh. And they were just walking through the woods, wandering aimlessly all around him. So he's kind of terrified, but he just keeps like walking on. And he said it was like they didn't notice him at first. They were just kind of aimlessly wandering through the woods. But then he said they turned and they kind of like caught wind of him and they began to pursue him. So he took off running as fast as he can. And he said as he was running, he trips over this huge root that was sticking out of the ground, and he falls and he tumbles. As he's on the ground, he sees a hand pop up out of the ground and start reaching towards his leg, and it's trying to grab him, and he was, just terrified. So he manages to get up, and he takes off running as fast as he can, and he gets back into his car. And these things start circling him as he's trying to pull out of this parking space. And they start beating on the hood of his car, trying to get in. He speeds off and manages to get away. But he said when he got out of his vehicle, when he got home, he could see all of these bloody handprints all over the vehicle.